Bill O'Reilly here, Wednesday, January 6, 2021. You are listening to the O'Reilly Update. Here's what's happening today in America. Shocking results in the Georgia Senate vote. In Washington, Congress votes to certify Joe Biden's electoral victory today. Folks are fleeing New York and New Jersey in record numbers. Arizona, now the worst state in the USA for COVID. Also ahead, how did Georgia morph into Massachusetts? We'll tell you. But first, it appears Georgia voters have elected two far-left senators. That's stunning. Raphael Warnock defeated Republican Kelly Loeffler, becoming the first black senator in Georgia history. 33-year-old Jon Ossoff is leading incumbent Senator David Perdue in a shocking apparent upset. There will be a recount in that vote. We will tell you exactly why all this happened in a few moments. Georgia has now helped President-elect Biden in a huge way, as Democrats control, apparently, both houses of Congress. For the next 2 years anyway, the USA may well go far left in its policies. More, as I said, in our next segment. Members of Congress and Vice President Pence meet today to certify the 2020 election results, despite a dozen senators and more than 100 congressmen objecting to the Electoral College count because of alleged fraud. The count will be made official later this afternoon. After the certification, there is no legal path forward for Donald Trump to stop Mr. Biden's impending inauguration. The 5 metro areas with the highest move-out rates last year, New York and New Jersey, have them all, according to a report from moving company United Van Lines. Long Island, where I live, tops the list for people exiting the region. The biggest destination for folks fleeing the Northeast, the Carolinas and Florida. Arizona now reporting the highest rate of COVID in the USA, averaging 121 new cases per 100,000 residents. More than 300,000 Americans have died from the virus since March. In a moment, 2 things caused Georgia voters to support far-left politicians. That after this. Hey, I got a crash course into home title theft because one of my friends experienced it, and I hope you are praying this never happens to you because it can ruin you financially. Here's how the crime happens. The legal titles to our homes are kept online where they can be hacked. A cyber thief can find your home's title, forge your signature on a quit-claim deed stating you sold your home to him or her. Then the thief takes out loans against your home until your equity is gone. You won't even know until the collection company calls, pour in. You're not protected by insurance, your bank, or common identity theft programs. Home Title Lock does protect you. And in the unlikely event you become a victim of title theft while a member, Home Title Lock will spend up to $250,000 in legal fees to help restore your home's title. So please go to HometitleLock.com, register your address to see if you're already a victim. Then use code RADIO for 30 free days of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com. Time now for the O'Reilly Update message of the day. So I was surprised by the Georgia vote. I thought at least one Republican would win a Senate seat. I base that belief on what happened on November 3rd, when Senator Perdue defeated Jon Ossoff by about 90,000 votes, and Ralph Warnock lost to 2 Republicans by about 400,000 votes. So what happened in 2 months? Well, President Trump, as you know, hammered the state of Georgia with allegations of voter fraud. That seems to have mobilized some voters to punish Republicans, as the Democratic turnout was higher yesterday in Georgia than it was for the presidential vote. And in the Senate of the United States, Republicans blocked the $2,000 relief COVID payment, settling for $600 to each citizen. That apparently hurt the GOP. But by far the most important factor in Georgia electing two far-left senators is the African American vote. In Georgia, 32% of the electorate is black, and they voted Democrat by more than 90%. That did it. But why? Well, as a Caucasian, I cannot feel what African Americans feel about their country. But I can tell you that in general, blacks see the USA differently than whites. And the Democrats have tapped into that successfully, messaging that the Democratic Party will prioritize black wants and needs in a big way. Then you add African American icons to the mix, people like LeBron James, Oprah, Michelle Obama, Beyonce. All of them support extremely liberal politics. So there is a peer pressure within African American neighborhoods throughout the country to support Democrats. It is not cool, if you're black, to be a Trump supporter. At the president's rallies, you see very few black faces because you are roundly criticized in the neighborhood if you are a Trump supporter or a Republican. Don't underestimate the power of peer pressure. We saw that in Georgia. It was almost a color line. And now the whole country will have to deal with a Senate that is controlled by the Democrats, handing Joe Biden, as I said, a huge power card. I'm Bill O'Reilly, and I approve that message by actually writing it. Disagree? I'd like to hear from you. Bill@BillO'Reilly.com. In a moment, something you might not know. By now, you've heard me speak about Jeff Brown, my go-to tech expert, and his firm, Brownstone Research. His firm, called the exact peak of the dot-com boom, and just issued another major prediction. So if you've got money invested in the market, especially in popular tech stocks, this is critical information. Jeff sat down with Tech Minute's Chris Hurt to discuss something shocking he believes is on the verge of happening. So you can watch that interview at bill5g.com right now. That's bill5g.com. Jeff's top-notch newsletter provides my listeners with research to let them know the best tech companies and the biggest market opportunities before they appear on Wall Street's radar. It's the only way to win in the market. Jeff's track record speaks for itself. He's recommended the number one S&P stock of 2016, 18, and 19. His subscribers see gains such as 432% and more in just days sometimes. So please go to bill5g.com. That's bill5g.com now. Now, the O'Reilly Update brings you something you might not know. 20 years ago today, in 2001, then Vice President Al Gore officially certified the electoral victory of George W. Bush, ending a months-long saga that included hand recounts, 2 concession speeches, and a historic Supreme Court ruling about the vote in Florida. Now, at that time, Al Gore's decision to end the crisis was met with widespread opposition by Democrats and the media. The New York Times wrote, quote, "There is nothing ordinary about Bush's victory," implying that George W. Bush did not win. A dozen members of the Congressional Black Caucus objected to the certification. Democratic Representative Jesse Jackson Jr. of Illinois said, quote, "It's a sad day in America when we cannot find a senator to sign this objection to the certification of Mr. Bush." On January 6, 2001, after 2 hours of delays and debates, Mr. Gore ultimately ended the 2000 election, saying, quote, "May God bless our new president and new vice president, and may God bless the United States of America," unquote. Mr. Bush's response from his Texas ranch later that evening was this: "Well, I guess I better go and write an inaugural speech. I want to be the president of everybody, whether they supported me or not," unquote. Today, both houses of Congress will meet to certify the election of Joe Biden. Nearly a dozen Republican senators and even more congresspeople from the GOP will object to the proceedings, citing voter fraud allegations. The two chambers will separate and debate the issues for no longer than 2 hours. A simple majority is needed by both houses of Congress to block any state's electoral votes, but that will not happen. And here's something else you might not know. If you think the election in 2020 is the most contested in U.S. history, you're wrong. In 1876, Republican candidate Rutherford Hayes narrowly beat Democrat Samuel Tilden by just one electoral vote, and Tilden won the popular vote by 300,000. American democracy is complicated indeed. Back after this. Are you looking for your next investment? Bill O'Reilly here. There are 8 reasons to look at NRIA Real Estate Development Fund. Monthly cash flow payouts of 10% annually, with bonuses up to 21%. They strategically chose low-risk, high-demand neighborhoods that people are moving into. Prime new construction is a sector that is short on supply and demand. Diversification and safety from stock market risk. They have a short and long-term strategy for returns today and returns down the road. Pandemic-hardened, specialty-designed buildings that are open and airy. NRIA is now 15 years as an industry leader. So if you've been sitting on the sidelines or you want to diversify for safety and cash flow, start your due diligence at nria.net or please call 800-800-5413. That's 800-800-5413.
An offer to buy or sell any security is only made by the NRIA Private Placement Memorandum. National is a real estate development firm. See us at nria.net.
Thank you for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. No spin, just facts, and always looking out for you.